So then one time when I was back at school, I was in a class and the teacher hadn't come in yet, which is always a blessing. You always think, oh, maybe the teacher won't show up and class will be cancelled. That actually happened once. Class wasn't cancelled. We all just sat in class and fucked about because the teacher just didn't show up. Anyway, this one time in this class at school, the teacher hadn't shown up yet. We had just gotten into the classroom, just sat down. Teacher wasn't there yet, and I was like, oh, well, this is perfect. I got a fresh little Mars bar in my bag. I thought, oh, I'll eat it. Get a quick nosh on my Mars bar before the teacher comes in, and then I've got my Mars bar energy for the class. Not that I cared about having energy for the class. It was more about eating my delicious Mars bar. This episode is brought to you by Mars bars. So I opened it, got the first little bite, just a little bite, just a little taste. Nice little bite of my Mars bar, and it was good. It was a good, yummy little taste of my Mars bar. And then the fucking teacher walks in, doesn't she? Stupid. I think it was an English class. Stupid English teacher walks in like she owns the place, and I was like, oh shit, fuck. See, what I could have done was just hold my Mars bar under the table and like take a bite now and then secretively throughout the class, throughout the duration of class, because you're not supposed to eat food in class for whatever fucking draconian reason. No eating allowed in class. Oh, come on, I'm hungry, let me fucking eat. That's what I could have done. I could have held it under the table and just, whenever the teacher wasn't looking, just get a quick little bite of my Mars bar. But I didn't. I was on a fight or flight sort of thing, and I chose flight, I guess, in this case, rather than be smart and tactical and fight, and eat the Mars bar gradually. I thought, fuck, rabbit in headlights, freeze, run away, quick. What's the quickest runaway option I can come up with? So I ripped the wrapper off and stuffed the rest of the Mars bar in my mouth. I was smaller then, and I think they have legitimately made chocolate bars and things smaller than they used to be. So a Mars bar seemed bigger back then. So to fit basically a whole Mars bar in your mouth was, it's quite a thing. It's a lot of shit to put in your mouth, like my penis. But I did. Stuffed it all in my mouth. So my mouth was all full up. And my cheeks were a bit puffed out, and I was all full up, trying slowly, trying to chew my Mars bar. Then the teacher looks over, doesn't she? She looks over and sees me chewing and goes, "Ewan, is that gum? Are you chewing gum?" Because chewing gum, of course, was the cardinal sin. I don't know if it was like that at other schools, but certainly in our school, having chewing gum was like the worst fucking thing you could do. Like, it was perma-banned, like super banned at school was chewing gum. I assume because it got stuck, people stuck it under desks and chairs, or on desks and chairs, or spat it on the floor, it got into carpets and stuff. So I assume that's the main reason for it being banned. That, and them trying to control our lives, the man trying to keep us down with his control, fucking under his thumb. No, you can't have chewing gum. I'll tell you when to eat. I'll tell you when to go to the toilet. I'll tell you if you can have chewing gum. And no, you can't have chewing gum, you little snot-nosed shits. Get back in class and do your coursework, you fucks, you young, nubile, delicious, smooth-skinned, sexy young fucking kids. That's what they'd say to us. Is that gum, Ewan? She said. She looked at me and goes, have you got chewing gum? And I looked at her with my mouth full and went, no. And I shook my head a little bit. I went, no. And then she said, spit it out now. Go over to the bin and spit it in there now. I might have said, and then she interrupted and went, now. I might have just gotten up. So I got up, I pushed my chair back, stood up, walked a few paces to the corner, to the little plastic waste paper basket with like a plastic bag in it. And I leant over and went, blah, and all of this Mars bar mush, this delicious blend of masticated chocolate and caramel and nougat, slowly slopped out of my mouth and slapped into the bin. It looked exactly as you'd imagine it looked. Oh, let's bust a new Sharpie out of my Sharpie. It looked like a Mars bar all chewed up, falling out. It looked like I was doing a sloppy, soft, warm shit out of my mouth into this bin. And everyone went, oh, Ewan, that's disgusting. Oh, fucking Ewan, what the fuck? Oh, God, you're so disgusting, Ewan. Oh, Ewan, you shit, Ewan. Oh, my God, Ewan, why are you so disgusting? Why can't you just be normal, Ewan? Why can't you just do things like a normal... Oh, what's wrong with you, Ewan? You're fucking weird, Ewan. I mean, it wasn't all that, but it was a bit like, oh, God, that's disgusting, Ewan. Nobody thought it was funny. The teacher certainly didn't think it was funny. She goes, oh, Ewan, why didn't you say it wasn't chewing gum? And I was like, I said no, and you told me to spit it out, so I spit it out. And she was all like, oh. And then I sat down and continued with class. Of course, I continued with class. That was not paying attention to anything and just drawing in my books instead of actually doing the work. Because, I'm an artist. It's what I do. When did you first learn that you like... it's literally something I've always done. I never paid attention in school. I was just drawing all the time. Everyone knew Ewan was the kid who drew pictures all the time. Oh, that's a memory. Ugh. I think this was sort of... There was a period of time in sort of year maybe 9 or 10 where for some reason, I mean, I can understand, but for some reason, everyone suddenly, as a group, I think all the guys I hung out with, like 2 or 3 or 4 main boys that I hung out with that were like my friends, my friends. We hung out at school, we hung out after school, skateboarding, video games, all that shit. I guess during one of my many absences, because I was often out of school because I hated it, so I'd lie to get out of school a lot. During one of those periods, I guess they'd collectively decided, let's not like Ewan anymore. Isn't Ewan a cunt? Isn't Ewan a shit and a cunt and a bag of piss? A leaky old bag of piss. Isn't Ewan a fucking asshole? And they decided, fuck it, they don't like me anymore. That was it. And then sort of from that, it spread out a bit. And then a bunch of other people sort of joined in. So I was pretty, not really, really badly, but I was bullied for maybe a couple of months. That lasted for at least. Well, they all just stopped talking to me, flat out, just stopped talking to me. And, if they did talk to me, it would be like, they'd come up to me. And this was at the time that, like, Scary Movie had just come out. So the whole, we're there, that whole thing was, like, new. So everyone was doing that. And so one of them would come up to me and be like, Ewan, and grab my arm and be like, Ewan. And I'd be like, oh, God, what? And they'd go, we're there. And then I'd go, we're there. And then they'd all just laugh. And I was just like, just humiliating. Like, I was fucking a teenager. I don't know what I'm fucking doing. What was I, fucking 14, 15 years old? What I should have done is just ignored them and gone, yeah, good one. And then walked on my merry way. But they do shit like that and like walk behind me, and you do the thing where you go big step and you kick the person's heel as they're taking a step, so their foot goes more forward than they expected it to, and they stumble or whatever. All that shit. They like throw my shit, drop my shit on the floor, push me around, and just you hear them whispering about you behind your back, just like, oh, you fucking Ewan, a piece of shit, fucking cunt. And it was like, just as that started, we were starting some big fucking science project or something. And the teacher was like, okay, everyone get into groups for this. You're going to be in groups for the next, few weeks while you work on this project. So everyone get into groups. And it had been a couple of days and I had no group. So the teacher was like, oh, just go sit with that lot, the ones you normally work with. And I just looked at her like, shaking my head like, nope, not going to do that. And so it was a bit, not to be, this isn't supposed to be a whole like sad sack tale. I'm not trying to get sympathy or anything. It's leading up to something, I promise. Ewan was known for drawing. Oh, isn't Ewan bloody good at drawing? And I fell for this. I absolutely fell for this. It's kind of funny, actually, from their point of view. And so, it's pretty funny. I fell for it because in one class, it was a music class, so the music rooms didn't have desks. You'd like sit around the room in a circle of chairs, and then music stuff would happen within the room. So we were sat on the chairs around the class, and then one of the kids who had decided they didn't like me goes, Ewan, give me your book, like my exercise book or whatever. And I was like, what? No, why? And he goes, I want to see your drawings in it. And I fell for it. And it's not even that bad. Like I say, it's kind of funny. But like that, the worst part for me is just that I was like, oh, well, if he wants to see my drawings, then yeah, of course. And they knew if they said, I want to look at your drawings, that I'd be like, oh, well, in that case, because Ewan does drawings and he wants everyone to see his drawings. That's what I fell for, and that's what I feel worst about. Out of that whole bullying situation of suddenly having no friends at a period in school where like you kind of need friends. Everyone's lonely, but to suddenly go from having at least a few friends and then it's whatever to having nobody, everyone actively trying not to talk to you. Like, that was a pretty hard time that I went through, Oh, boo-hoo, wee. But this, for me, was the worst part of that, was this specific instance where they knew they could get me by saying, let me see your book, I just want to look at the drawings. They knew that would get me, and I fucking fell for it. I gave them my book. I was like, oh, fine, whatever, okay. Ooh, gave them my book. And the funny part is the kid who asked for my book put the book on his crotch, and then he obviously had a boner, and so he was like flexing the muscles to make the boner go up and down. So he had my exercise book on his crotch, and he was using his boner to make the book like go like this, like move up and down without his hands, which it's pretty funny. I've got to credit where it's due. That was pretty funny. At the time, I was just like, ugh, fucking whatever. I think I was more, like I say, more upset that they got me. I fell for it. I fell for the whole, Ewan will say yes because I want to see his drawings. That's where they got me. And that's where I feel like I lost to them on that one. But like I say, it's pretty funny. Give me a book, and he put it on his dick, and he made it move using his dick. So that was when I got bullied at school. I only just remembered that. I wouldn't have brought that up otherwise. But I just remembered that because of the whole Ewan draws. Drawy draws. A drawy draws. Oh, I think it might have been The same teacher that told me to spit my gum out and then chastised me when I spat a Mars bar into the bin, was the same one who saw me drawing. I was drawing, like, at the time, a dinosaur or something like that. And she took my drawing and she tore it up and threw it in the bin. And she said, this is kind of, it's cliche, like, it's the sort of thing you think you only hear on TV or some shitty teen drama movie or something. She actually said, your stupid doodles aren't doing anything for you. Pay attention to class. Which, you know, from her point of view, she's a teacher. She's trying to do her job. Can the kid just fucking pay attention? But at the same time, if there's one kid just sitting drawing, just leave him to it. Just fucking leave him to it. Are his grades not that good? No. Maybe that's because he'd be happier just drawing. Just let him fucking draw. So she said, you stupid little doodles aren't doing anything for you. Pay attention in class. Rip, threw my drawings away. Well, joke's on her. Because, you know, what the fuck has her English GCSE done for me? Fucking nothing. That stupid old bitch. And now, you know, I'm an artist now. It almost makes me want to go to some, like, school reunion or something and be like, hey, look, everyone, I'm an artist. And they'll all be like, well, yeah, obviously, like, that's all you ever did. You wouldn't shut up about it. But at the same time, I could never go to something like that because I fucking hated everybody at school. Let's take a look at an art book. It's another comic book. It's not really an art book, but it's an issue 1. It's a new Hulk by Ryan Ottley. We looked at some of his shit last week. What did we look at? What was I looking at that had Ryan Ottley's artwork in it? Oh, it's right here. The grizzly thing and the shark, sea bear and grizzly shark. I mentioned I need to get hold of more of Ryan Ottley stuff, and I might have just done that, including this brand new Hulk comic. Ryan Ottley's very, very good at drawing. The Hulk is obviously one of my all-time top-tier favourite things. I'm not a fan of superheroes in general, but for me, Hulk doesn't feel like a superhero. Like, he doesn't feel like a super-powered being that has you know, risen to save the world. He's an anguished monster, and he's got fucking trauma and shit, and he's just a bit mad, and he breaks things. There's something in the Hulk, and like I've said before, I really don't rate Hulk stories in general. I love the character of the Hulk. You know, the Jekyll and Hyde. The book of Jekyll and Hyde is really, really good. Not once have I seen a good adaptation, like movie or show or anything, of it. Everyone makes sorry, something just hit something and it made a weird noise and it scared me. Everyone makes Hyde this huge, gnarly, scary monster, but in the book, he splits into like the nice version of him and then the evil version of him. So it's all the badness within him personified becomes Hyde. But because there's less bad in Dr. Jekyll than there is good, the bad version of him is smaller than the good version. So he's actually this wretched, nasty little man that, like, at one point, I don't know if it's a beggar or something in the street. It's been a long time since I read it. But there's a beggar or something in the street, and then Mr. Hyde, the nasty version, is like beating him with his cane and jumping up and down on this guy and kills him. Because he's just this vicious, nasty, evil, bad little man. He's not some Hulk, some giant, scary monster like the, what is it? The fucking League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the movie. The Jekyll Hyde in that is basically the Hulk, which is just like, ugh, really? But that's what I love, and that's why I like the character of the Hulk. So the Hulk physically, yeah, he's this big monstrosity, basically invulnerable or immortal. But at the core of it, there's this dichotomy, yeah, sort of like back and forth of like good and bad and suffering with yourself, and I deal with mental illness a lot, so I relate to some of the shit. I don't know. But it's also Ryan Otley's drawings, and I like that. I love it. I like his Hulk. I've not seen much of his Hulk drawings, but what I have seen, especially in this book, I like. I like it. I like it. I do like it. I've also read this. I read it earlier today, and the story's pretty interesting. I'll go over vaguely what it is. But primarily we're just looking at the drawings, obviously, because it's an art-based fucking pod video cast machine, whatever. Shouty face. Grr. I do like his Hulk. He's nice and chunky. He's got the I don't know how or when it happened, but at some point everyone decided Hulk's hair was just like that new modern kind of Nazi haircut with virtually no hair on the back and sides of his head and just this amount of hair stuck on the top of his head. Like I said, I don't know where that happened, but somewhere along the way it was decided that's what Hulk's hair looks like. And that's how I draw it. That's sort of how it looks right to me. Where he has no hair on the back and sides, but he's got the Hulk, the hair sat on top. Which is weird because he's supposed to be just like... That's where I get into not liking the story of the Hulk, where it's this guy sort of by his own accidental creation turned himself into this monster, but the monster is like this big muscly guy rather than a big swollen tumorous irradiated thing. He should be more like a ghoul in Fallout than a god. A ghoul rather than a god is what he should be. So I that bit kind of annoys me, that he's just big and muscly as opposed to horrible and disgusting to look at. Maybe I'll make my own Hulk comic one day, and it will be what the Hulk should be. But then you've got so this is Bruce Banner in this comic. He does have hair on the back and sides of his head, but it's short. But the Hulk is supposed to be just a bigger version of him. But his hair changes dramatically. So, what's up with that? Also, a note: Ryan Otley did this logo. He redesigned the logo, so he's making the book his own in a way. Obviously, it's written by someone else and coloured by someone else, but his drawings and his own logo, which is cool. And he said he designed the logo to be based on the original logo, but slightly more crumbly and falling apart. I guess that will fit into the story or whatever. I really like it. However, for me personally, it feels too short. It feels almost too blocky. I know it's literally blocks, but it feels like it's too sort of dwarfed, almost like if this was just a little bit, like if the letters came down to this bottom line here, and then there was like the underside, the shadow. For me, that would feel... It feels uncomfortable. Like when I look at my name with a capital E, I feel physically uncomfortable. I'm just like, ugh, that's not attractive to look at. That's an ugly letter. And I sort of get that with this logo. It's just like, ugh, it's just a little bit too short for me to really be pleased with it. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter at all. Shut up. So the basis of this story, I'll go over that now, and then we'll just look at pretty pictures. Wow, it's like a Robo Mecha Hulk. He does good fists. Ryan Otley does very good fists. I like that. He does this curve of the knuckles really well, where it's not just like straight hand, thumb, fingers. It curves. Got the nice curve of the knuckles. I've always liked that about... that's one of the first things I really picked out about Ryan Otley's style was, the fists. He does very, very specific looking fists, which I like. All right, so I thought it was a bit weird when I first flicked through this. I was like, there's this Hulk, and then there's this Hulk, and then who's this guy? Oh, that turns out to be Bruce Banner. Oh, so, right. So the whole premise of this one is, what if Hulk exists to protect us from Banner? Ooh, so what if Banner's the bad one and Hulk's the good one? So the real life Hulk in this story arc is this. Bruce Banner has fused these machine parts to the Hulk body, and by some mechanical means, I guess, he separated the Hulk into 3 parts. One of those parts is this physical Hulk with the machine parts added onto it. I believe he's turned the Hulk into a starship. So this mechanical Hulk is the physical Hulk in the physical world. The other 2 parts are Bruce Banner as one mind entity and the Hulk, like the original just Hulk as a separate mind entity. So there's one part is the physical Hulk, and then 2 mental parts being Hulk and Banner within this starship Hulk. And this visor here is used as like almost the deck of a starship in which Bruce Banner sits. So Bruce Banner's consciousness is alive, controlling the Hulk body, but within this starship is this Hulk, who is trapped in a cage within Bruce Banner's mind by this giant galactic door or whatever in this vacant landscape. And so this vision here is the Hulk trying to break out because he's angry. The anger of the Hulk is trying to break out of this door that Bruce Banner has set up to cage the Hulk. And it's that anger of this Hulk in Bruce Banner's mind. The anger fuels the physical Hulk, this Hulk machine, to allow Bruce Banner to do what he's planning on doing, which, as of this issue, is a bit vague, and you're not entirely sure where he's headed. So that's basically the story, which is, it's roughly explained in fairly simple terms in the pages of the comic. But I quite like it. So it's this sort of cyborg Starship Hulk being piloted by Bruce Banner's mind, and the Hulk mind is, the anger of the Hulk mind is being used to fuel the ship to keep it fucking going with this anger power. And so Tony Stark as Iron Man is trying to stop him. There's a really cool part here where Tony's got all these nanobots to sort of hold the Hulk in place with this sort of metal arm cage. But then the anger of the Hulk, he rips his arm out straight up, just pulls and pulls, rips his fucking forearm and hand off. And Iron Man's like, oh fuck. Like Iron Man, he's saying here, sorry Bruce, this is where it ends. He got you in this cage. This is where it ends. And then the Hulk's like, fucking tears his arm off. And Iron Man's like, oh, fuck. Hulk lunges. And then there's this cool bit where, so there's multiple, like, Iron Man bots. I think there's a scene where they all surround him. Yeah. So there's 4 Iron Man bots. I think he's in one of them. So then the Hulk smashes one of them to pieces, fucking caves its head in. And then Iron Man goes, how did you know I wasn't in that suit? And Hulk's like, I didn't, but thanks for the heads up. He goes, I didn't know you weren't in there, but now I know you're not in there. And he pulls the arm off this Iron Man robot and fucking jams it into the stump that he's torn off of himself. And he uses the laser fucking blaster on that. Blasts Iron Man into the wall, into this building. To get to this, which is some portal to another dimension that Tony Stark has been building in order to evacuate people should some disaster happen. And then the Hulk Bruce Banner piloting the Hulk goes through the portal, and he says some shit about, but you're not dealing with the Hulk anymore, you're dealing with me. And like Bruce Banner's gone fucking evil. You have no plan for me. Because I'm not controlled by rage anymore. I'm fueled by it. So that's the Hulk behind the door. The anger of the Hulk. And he's got the Hulk trapped in here. And he's sending all these, I guess, imaginary armies after him to keep him busy. To keep him angry. To fuel... smashing, to keep him smashing. So I've just spent fucking, 10 minutes or more talking about the story when I wasn't even going to. But look at that, that's cool. That's a really nice shot of the Hulk. Good and bulky. Good drawings of tanks and helicopters and shit. But yeah, when we've got the classic, as I always like to mention, the Ryan Otley goop. Brilliant. Love it. I bet when Ryan Otley was reading the script and he was like, oh, he tears his arm off. That's brilliant. I can draw all this fucking mess, which is really, really cool. The bones sticking out and shit. All the goop. Love that. Really cool veins and things. Not my favourite Hulk. I think Dale Keown is possibly my favourite Hulk artist that I've seen. Dale Keown, who draws The Pit. And his drawing and his hatching is so fucking good. And he draws the veins on the arm. Because I think a lot of artists, myself absolutely included, when it comes to drawing arm veins, it's easy to just do it random, to just go, there's veins on the arm, and you just draw them. But Dale Keown draws them so specifically, they look like anatomical drawings of like, that's exactly where the veins should be. And so his Hulk is made better because of that gooder thing. So this is all the other heroes around sort of trying to figure out what the fuck to do about Banner and his fucking Hulk mech. Really good lighting here. Well, this purple, obviously it's like a blue light with the purple on the red suit, verging on that impossible blue that exists, which is actually more of a grey. You can look that up, Google. I think it's called Impossible Blue or something like that, where like if you fade blue, it might be blue into like orange or something, you get purple, but then you get this weird kind of grey tone, which isn't a blue at all. But your mind tells you it's blue, but it's actually like, if you put it next to a grey, you realise it's just grey. But then if you're painting, you're like, well, this doesn't make sense. How do I get this colour? And you realise you use a grey there, it works in context with the colours around it to appear as if it's a different colour between other colours. But it's actually just a fucking grey. Who's the colourist on this? Because the colour's really good in this comic. Frank Martin. Really good colours. I love these red sections. I did some of that in Gun Viking, as you know. Really good colours in there. And this, he's arguing with Betty Brant. And then he's like, now get out of my head. And she's gone, poof. Because this whole red scene is in his mind. That's not actually... I mean, it's actually happening, but it's not physically happening. And I guess I've only just twigged now these like skeletons that the Hulk is surrounded by in this landscape that he's in, this fucking alien desert world, I guess is like these imaginary monsters and things that Banner has sent after the Hulk to keep him smashing, to keep him angry, to keep his Hulk fueled. I keep talking about the story. I just want to talk about the Hulk. I really, really like it. I love drawing not necks. I hate drawing necks. So whenever I get a chance to draw, like that's why I love Gun Viking so much as a character physically to draw, because I don't ever have to draw a neck, because it's just his face and then it's just hair like a lion's mane that covers any neck. Joining the head to the neck and then the neck to the body can be a really awkward thing to do, and it's so easy to fuck up. So that's why I love Gun Viking, and I like drawing the Hulk because I can draw him big and bulbous, and I don't have to worry about drawing that shit. So it's cool to see that. I like that, which is just bulky and shit. I like it, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if the artwork in this particular comic has necessarily impressed me or blown me away. I feel like it's very much in favour of the story. That it just sort of it's telling the story. There's not much to the artwork that makes me go, oh wow, look how he's done this or look how he's done that. Like, it's really, really well drawn. I'm not saying it's not well drawn. It's great detail. It's Ryan Ottley's drawing style. It's very, very cool. He draws the Hulk really well. He draws a really good Hulk. Love that. But in general, I'm just sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a really well drawn Hulk comic by Ryan Ottley. But it's not like you have to see this Hulk. It's like, yeah, it's cool, I guess. That's my opinion of this right this second. That might change. I also love the colour here, where he's inside the room and it's darker, so it's all blues and purples. Where it's so easy to in your head to go, right, he's in the dark, so draw him dark red and dark orange because that's the colour of his suit. But no, make it fucking purple and blue. That's a trick I learned. I stole from somewhere, I'm sure, but I learned that one early on in doing comics. Use the purples and the blues for the dark, the yellows and oranges for the light, whatever. It's good shit, man. It's good shit. And then somehow he grows his hand back. He smashes out of the gauntlet he took from the Iron Man suit, and then his hand is grown back somehow. I guess because the Hulk's immortal or whatever. The Hulk's smashing. And I mean, that's impressive. I say, well, the artwork's not that impressive. I mean, you got to draw this giant Iron Man suit with a portal in its chest and all these fucking pipes and cables and shit and all the walkways and things. Like, it's not easy to just draw that shit. So that's pretty impressive. And then to draw him going through a portal, like, where he is kind of stretched. You know, that's shit you really got to think about, like, when you're drawing. Like, okay, how am I drawing someone going through a portal to look like they're going through a portal? Like, fuck knows. But it's good. Yeah, it's cool. I'm somewhat interested in the story. I don't feel like I'm invested, but like I'm curious to see where it goes, because it's quite a fairly original take on the Hulk of Banner being alive within the Hulk and controlling the Hulk for his own potentially evil means. So that's quite a neat thing. So like I say, I'm curious to see where that goes, just what his evil plans might be. And, you know, I do like the artwork. And we might have some more Ryan Ottley artwork to look at. So maybe I'll just keep that going forever and ever now. So what was I saying? About hating everybody at school. Because even the people you like, you realise, especially at school, like, because it's one of those places where you're literally just thrown together. You have no say in, you know, who you're with. You make friends with people based on, you know, oh, we like the same video games and we're in the same classes, so let's get on, I guess. And then, like, college, you know, UK college, which is like the last 2 years of American high school, is somewhere you sort of, you more or less pick where you go and you pick the course you're on. And so you're put with people who have done the same. They've chosen to be on the same classes as you. So it's a little bit more sort of, people who have chosen to be in the same place. So you've got a bit more in common, kind of. And so it's easier to get on with people in that respect. And then university is sort of that, but more so. And you're all older, more grown up. You understand people more. You understand relationships more. So you figure out how to get on with people. And if you don't like someone at that age, you don't have to interact with them. You can just, you know, You're not forced into group projects and shit. You can just say, I'm not into this person, so I'll leave them to it, so it's fine. But school is like the fucking worst for that shit, where you're literally thrown into this fucking meat grinder of people, and you're supposed to get on with people and make friends. But I found from a very, very young age, I have distinct memories of walking home with my mum. And I was walking up on this bank and she was walking on the pavement next to it. And her being like, she asked how I was or how was school or something. Or I might have just straight up said, I don't want to go back to school. And she was like, well, why not? And I said, I don't like it. I was fucking 4 or 5, like young, like maybe 6. I was super, super young. And even then I was just like, I hate this. And it's mostly, almost entirely, because of just I'm surrounded by people I did not want to be a part of. I don't want these people in my life, these fucking random people that I'm just thrown in here with. And that persisted. But it reminds me of one particular story which I may have already shared, so I apologise if you've already heard it, but I've only got so many stories, I've only done so much with my life. So if you have already heard it, then, enjoy this retelling, I suppose. But it's when you realise you're friends with someone purely because of circumstance. You just happen to be friends because, sure, I guess we're friends. Oh, you skateboard, I skateboard too. Oh, you play Tony Hawk's games. Well, that makes sense because we skateboard and we're young kids and we play video games. Hey, let's do that together sometime, I guess. Hey, we laugh at the same not funny jokes. That's cool. Let's hang out. Yeah, especially at that age, like I say, you kind of need someone to hang out with. You need someone around. Like, I'm all for, being a lone ranger and doing your own thing. Go to the beat of your own drum, man. Yeah. But it's more like a survival tool. Like, if you're a kid who really doesn't have friends, you're a target. You're an easy target. And I think that's most of what it is. It was like survival of... Which is why it kind of hurt so much when I suddenly didn't have friends, and it was like, fuck, now I'm a target, and people saw that and took advantage of it, I guess. Or people made me a target. They turned me into a fucking target. The cunts. But it's like I say, there's certain people where at certain times you reach a point, you just look at them differently after a while, and you just realise that you fucking hate this person. You would have no business with them had you a choice. If it was up to you, you would never interact with this person. But because of circumstances, because of school, classes, whatever, you're with this person, and through whatever direction things have gone, you've become friends with them. So now you hang out a lot, and they're just your friend. This person's your friend. So with one particular person, this happened, and I think I realised I really didn't like him quite quickly. I think he was brought up. His parents weren't hugely wealthy, but he was sort of given pretty much anything he wanted. If he wanted new video games, he got them right away. New clothes, new shoes, he was getting new skateboards all the time. He'd have a brand new deck, brand new wheels, brand new skate shoes, like always, whenever he wanted them. And I think was, a detriment to his character, where he acted like that kind of person, where he gets what he wants whenever, so everyone's supposed to treat him like that all the time. And as such, I think he had a sort of an inflated sense of self-value, which, you should always value yourself, but I think he thought he was more than he was because of that. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. The fucking child psychologist Ewan here. Hi, welcome to the child psychology channel of Ewan's fucking podcast. So I realised he was a cunt, but he was at this point a friend of mine, so I just dealt with it. Until one point where I think it was like the second to last week of the year was like activities week, where they had trips you could go on for a week or different clubs at school. There was like sports activities week or whatever. And so most of the time these friends would like go on the trips. There was like ski trips and trips to France and things. And honestly, I can't think of anything worse than going on a trip with people from school. You imagine having to like stay in a place for a week and share rooms and stuff with people from school. But then, so me and this one friend, he wasn't going on a trip, and I never did because, didn't want to, couldn't afford it, so didn't. He wasn't going on a trip, so we both were in what was a new one, which was a video games club, which hadn't been a thing before, so we were quite happy. We was like, just fucking hang out in a room and play video games with a bunch of other kids for a week. Like, yeah, let's fucking do that shit. That was cool. So we did that. And then it was the sort of, I think it was the last day. We were walking home, and then we got like towards my home, my house, where I was gonna go home, and then he'd walk down to the bus stop and get the bus and go. But then it was really weird. He asked if he could come into my house, and like for no reason, he was just like, "Oh, can I come in?" And like, on reflection, maybe he just wanted to hang out. Maybe he wanted a friend, and maybe it was really shitty of me to do what I did. But I was just like, I'd spent a week playing video games with him, and just hanging out and walking to and from school with him, and I was just sort of done. I couldn't be fucked. And I didn't want him in my house. I was ready to go home. It was the end of that week, and I was going to go home and fucking do whatever. Draw Simpsons porn, the usual. So he goes, "Oh, can I come in?" And I said no, but I said it in like a baby voice because we were doing weird baby voices at the time. So I was like, "No." Yeah, that's really different to how you act now, and it's so funny. And then he was like, "Oh, why?" And I said, "Because I don't like you, blah, 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 blah." I said it in a funny way, but he was like, "Oh, cheers." And then we talked for a bit more, and then he went to the bus and I went home. So I said, "Because I don't like you," I said it in like a ha-ha, I'm joking kind of way, but I said it kind of seriously. I meant it. Which is a weird thing to do, a weird thing to say. You could have just let the kid fucking come inside. Maybe he just wanted a drink or something, I don't know. But then we went our separate ways, and then that was a Friday, so it was the weekend, and then the Monday was another day that I called in sick because I couldn't be fucked. And then it was the Tuesday or the Wednesday back at school, and this kid and I, we sat next to each other in maths class. So the first lesson of that day was maths. So I saw him in maths. We were sat next to each other. And what I also saw was what he'd written all over the desk that we share was "Ewan sucks, Ewan's shit." Evidently he was he figured, well, then I don't like Ewan if Ewan doesn't like me. But the funniest part was, for the whole week we were playing video games and stuff, we'd also watched a few times 8 Mile, the Eminem award-winning classic movie. And so like on the way home, we'd be like freestyling and stuff, like making up raps and doing fun beatboxes and that shit, just, fucking around as kids do, whatever. And I was good at rapping, man. I was pretty good for being young and rubbish at everything and not remotely musically gifted. Because I'm good with words, man. I'm just good at like freestyling it, coming up with rhymes and raps and things. So we had some good fun doing that on the way back from school, like on our walks home from school and stuff. And then one of the things he wrote on the desk was "Ewan can't rap," and I was just like, "Oh, hit me where it hurts." Like, I did the rapping just because it was fun to do. It was funny to like be a rapper, but it was never something that I was like I say now. Yeah, you know, I was pretty good at just coming up with words that rhyme because I'm pretty good with words in general. But I was never like, oh, so good at rapping. Oh, I'm so like, oh yeah, I could be a rapper. It'd be so great. But so him writing "Ewan can't rap" on the desk was so like, what? I don't give a shit about rapping. You think I fucking care? You're going to tell me I can't rap? Oh my god, he said I can't rap. I just thought that was funny. I don't know. Again, this was quite some time after the whole me getting ignored and bullied, after it all settled down, and then eventually we like didn't make friends again, but I think parents were spoken to, and teachers and parents were spoken to, children were spoken to, and it came to a head of like, just cut the shit. You're all at school, so just fucking get along at school. And eventually, a little while later, they started talking to me again. We started hanging out again, and we were, for lack of a better term, friends again. We never spoke about it. We were never like, so what was up with that? And they never like apologised or whatever. It was just sort of, it was just a period of time where that happened, and then it was sort of forgotten about for whatever reason. So this was sometime after that where I was just like fucking done with this kid who was one of the people who ignored me and bullied me, who kicked the back of my heels, pulled my backpack down, heavy bag, and you tug on their backpack and pull them down to the floor. Would like join in and laugh and mock me and stuff. So I wasn't like, you know, I was almost glad that I could actually tell him, even in a half joking way, that I don't like him. Because fuck that guy. Fucking fuck him. Give a shit, stupid entitled prick. And I realise in these instances, I don't sound like a fucking diamond of a person either. Well, he asked to come inside and you just said no because I don't like you, right to his face. Well, that's kind of mean, Ewan. You could have been a bit nicer. Yeah, well, fuck that guy. I don't give a shit. He's an idiot. He was also really fucking stupid. I hope he's dead now. That'd be funny. Oh, look, it's Flesh Bob, but it's like he's Saturn devouring his son, like that famous Goya painting. Saturn devouring his son. That's funny. Look, it's like, oh, it's like a version. It's one of those paintings that it's possibly my favourite painting ever, like in the art world of what's your favourite famous painting. I think this one's probably my favourite. Irritatingly, but I guess it makes sense, it's one of those that gets parodied a lot. Like there's all kinds of like almost fan fiction versions of this painting, like pop culture versions, Homer eating Bart or fucking whatever, just that sort of shit. And now I'm adding to it, so go bloody me. But I love the painting, and I love the fact that all of those, because it was one of a series of black paintings, they're referred to as the black paintings by Goya, where he was very, very sick in terms of his health, but also his mental health towards the end of his life deteriorated like rapidly and a lot. And he secluded himself in this home and painted on the walls. He painted all these paintings across his walls. They're more like murals, I guess, of all these different visions. Like some of them are like visions of, not necessarily visions of hell, but like hellish visions of distorted faces and people, like a crowd of people interacting with a black goat, which is obviously Satan, and like visions of war and famine and stuff. And this one, possibly the most popular of them, Saturn devouring his son, which is obviously a take on a painting, another version of the painting, which is quite famous. Of Saturn, where he's holding his baby and he's actually like pulling the flesh with his teeth off the chest of this baby. He's like, ah. And one of the things I love is that they were all done just on his walls in this state of madness. Over, I guess no one really knows over sort of what period of time or anything, but at some point they were painted, and then kind of irritatingly, they were all removed, all the paintings, I don't know how, they removed all the paintings from the walls and put them onto canvas. I don't know if it's they took the plaster off the wall or they took the fucking wall out, or somehow they removed the paintings from the walls upon which they were painted and transferred them directly to canvases to be displayed and such. Which is, it's cool that they're out there and they can be seen by people, but it's like, this is a guy's like personal work that he did in these, you know, maybe rare moments of lucidity in his mental state, you know, his deteriorating mental state. And then for people to just come in and be like, oh, cool, we'll take these. Tear them off the walls, put them on canvas, stick them in a gallery or whatever. And it's just like, man, like people do the same shit with Banksy, you know, they remove the shit from walls and put them in galleries and shit. It's just like, it's not, like, I doubt, like if you asked Goya, hey, are you cool if we, you know, once you're gone, once you're fucking dead, yeah, and you're gone, you don't matter anymore, you cool if we just take this shit and hang it up somewhere? He'd probably say, well, no, just leave them in the house. But what if the house, you know, gets old and renovated and destroyed or whatever? Then fucking let it. Art isn't permanent. Nothing's permanent. Stop fucking... it bugs me so much knowing that people restore artwork, they restore paintings. Because you can only restore something so much. It's like, you know, the whole thing of the human body, all the cells in the human body regenerate. So at what point are you the original body? And at what point are you 100% new regenerated cells? That's one thing. But when it's something someone's made, a painting, and you're cleaning it up and like adding bits of paint where other paint is cracked off, like at some point, it's going to be a whole new painting because it's all going to wear away eventually. And it's like the artists know, the artists have to know that their paintings are going to wear away eventually. Like, no, I'm sure none of the great famous artists in history probably would have thought that their paintings would still be around today, that they'd still be in galleries and have people all over the world looking at them. The fact that people can look at them from all over the world is great, but I doubt they all wanted their paintings to live on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Like, especially when they have, you know, someone like Goya who he was like against, you know, things the government were doing and armies and war and famine and poverty and stuff. That he must have had a sense of decay and degradation, and knowing that it's all temporary and his art is the same. Like, art should die. Pieces of artwork should die. They should be like, fuck, remember when that piece of art was a thing and now it's not, it's just gone. That piece of art no longer exists because it died. Like, there is something to be said for saving certain things, but you've got to fucking let go of some shit, man. You can't just fucking hold on to shit. So it's a weird sort of thing I have of like art restoration and just holding on to shit. But then I have that with certain things as well, you know. I try to keep hold of certain things, but at the same time, I try not to. I try to throw shit out, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. Oh no, this is a fun painting, isn't it? A drawing rather. Oh, it's cool. Isn't that cool? I think I'm going to try to get it done maybe in the next sort of month or so. Maybe before, or maybe I could do it at like New Year's, around New Year's if I'm not doing anything else. I want to paint this on my wall. So I've got my ooh, that's kind of neat, isn't it? My bedroom is a floor plan of my bedroom. If my bedroom's like this, if this is the door, the main door that leads out to my front door, and then there's my one big room, and then here there's a door here, which is my bathroom, and then here's my kitchen with a door here, and then a window here. My bed is here, wardrobe, bookshelf, desk where I'm sat here right now, armchair, and then boxes and shit. So you walk in here, and there's like rug and all my shit, my bed. This wall here it's got like, there's a little indent where I put my wardrobe, and then the wall sticks out a bit here, and then there's a shelf here. So there's this part of wall which is stuck out a bit, and then my bed is here with the pillows here. And I want to paint it on this wall. So above my bed, not this, I'm going to paint the actual, I'm going to literally copy Goya's fucking Saturn devouring his son painting, large scale, on my bedroom wall. I'll video it because that would be a really cool time lapse of me painting a wall. And I want to use like acrylic or fucking whatever, like brush paint. I will use a little bit of spray paint here and there. I'm still figuring out a way to sort of, because I don't just want to go out the wall and draw it and try to draw it on the wall. I'm gonna, I think, like cut a little stencil of the main parts of it, and then shine a light through that to project it onto the wall, and then trace that so I can get the scale right, because I don't want to draw like the head too big and have it look silly. I'm gonna put the effort in trying to make it good, because then that'll be really, really cool with all of the fucking voodoo shit I've got hanging on my ceiling, and just me in general. That would be a really cool thing to come in, to walk into my room and just see fucking Saturn devouring his son on my wall. I think that would be cool.